All right, welcome. What is up, everyone? It is good to be back with you. This is season two, episode one of the Minnesota Heat cast. This is the stay-at-home edition, so thank you all for joining us here on the airwaves. We are doing a virtual gathering here with a very special guest. We've got Matt Gallagher, of course,
Hey, hey.
on the switches. Welcome, Gally.
Hey, hey.
And also Willie Vang is joining us, giving us an update. Hey, Willie, welcome.
What's up, Jared? Thanks for having me. Excited to finally jump on.
Yeah, it is good to be here. So we got kind of a short one today. Just kind of give everyone an update from the program. And kind of how we see things shaking out here on the grassroots basketball side of things, specifically Minnesota Heat side of things. So, yeah, first off, Willie, just wanted to check in. How you holding up? How have things been going? With the isolation.
Things are pretty good for us overall here. Definitely spending a ton of time at home. I have a son, Angelo, who's 3.5. We mastered potty training. That went pretty well. But yeah, a lot of time with him has been really good. This is a time of year where there's a ton of time in the gym, especially on nights and weekends. So making up for lost time with him has been pretty enjoyable. How about yourself?
Nice. Yeah, no, same story here. Kind of laying low. My wife works in the emergency room, and so I am doing my duty not to get sick so that she can keep going to work. So washing my hands a lot. I've been holding to that 20 seconds for the first time in my life. So I guess technically that means the first time I've ever truly washed my hands was about a month ago. So been an adjustment. So yeah, it's still hanging in there, not going too crazy, finding things to stay busy with. So yeah, I wanted, really quick, Willie, if we could, I know like still a ton of uncertainty, both the country, across the world, but specifically in the grassroots basketball scene and Minnesota Heat. I just kind of wanted the update. Give me like what's the most recent kind of news or where things stand with the organization.
So from our side of things, we had released an update a couple of weeks ago now that we sent out to all the registered spring participants. There actually is kind of a separate one for the boys program, one for the girls program. And that was also put on our Twitter and our website. But we essentially have two plans in place right now. One is for if the season is able to start in May, which would essentially be right after the current kind of stay-at-home order. So that goes till May 4th. And we have one plan on if the season would start on May 11th. And then we have another plan for if the season would start in June. So we really believe in like both plans. I think both plans can work well. Obviously, the May one is nice because we don't have to go quite as deep into the summer, and we can, not quite be as kind of crammed and rushed. But we really believe we can execute either plan really well. And so we feel good about them. And now, obviously, the uncertainty of what's going on is really the biggest bummer. But we really feel like we have good plans for those timeframes.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know just being involved kind of on the peripheral of some of those conversations, like it's such a fluid thing, right? And we can circle a date, a month ago, and things seems like they change every day. So yeah, that I think, having to spell that out. And again, folks, like if you guys, going to the Minnesota Heat social media, checking out just some of those releases, try to lay things out as clearly as possible, just like plan A, plan B, trying to see, when this stuff passes, obviously, like, we're not going to defy the CDC or anything like that. But still just being ready for kind of whatever may change, whatever may happen. So, yeah.
Right on. And one thing I was going to throw in there, Jared, but we've told parents is that if, just in terms of just kind of the logistical side, if only the May plan works, just kind of wait until we know if that plan will happen. If that doesn't work and you cannot do the June plan, then you can email Josh Presbytero and myself for a refund. But until we know a little bit more, we'll just kind of have people sit tight unless they know that neither plan works, which a few people have emailed us, but most people are definitely sitting put. And I think I definitely get the vibe from parents that we've talked to that they want to play basketball and they're just waiting to hear on when we can do so.
Yeah. No, I would echo that, and kind of being involved in the grassroots basketball world. It's kind of heartening how much people want to play, and how much like a spring without grassroots hoops matters. And so it's encouraging to see just like the buy-in and the investment, and from people who want to get this thing going, and not again being smart about everything, and following the experts and listening to the smart folks. So I guess like to add that into some of Willie's kind of commentary, my role, I work for Prep Hoops, and we obviously operate. The plan was 33 tournaments here. This spring and summer, starting like 3 weeks ago now through July, and obviously that changes significantly what we're trying to do with things. But again, kind of similar spot as the Heat. What we've tried to do is just adjust on the fly. We kind of rescheduled the first 6 weeks of our events. The plan A right now is to get things going in mid to late May. Again, that's not a sure thing by any stretch, but we're just trying to be ready and hopefully being able to be as prepared as possible to give kids and families and coaches as good of a high school basketball experience as possible. The uncertainty kind of leaves everyone feeling uneasy, I think, just not having an answer, but kind of doing everything that we can, everything that's in our control to be set up for success. So that's kind of the
biggest thing, families, just to be flexible, which we've really found a lot of families have been great with that, which is awesome. Because I think that's the biggest thing. If they're curious on what, they can do or what they should be, it's just like, just be flexible, be ready to adapt. Because as soon as we feel like very confident with being able to roll out a plan, we're going to do so. But obviously the challenge of that is it's not going to be what you originally signed up for. I mean, there's going to be tournaments obviously later in the season, perhaps going even into August. But for most people, it seems like they're willing to be flexible and they just want to play. And so as long as they give us the time to get that info out there, that's going to be really helpful.
Yeah, no, be the flexibility, adaptability. That's the ultimate virtue here. Just be good to people, be patient. Everyone's kind of working through this. Everyone's working through this first time. So what, Willie, I know like you've obviously been in this world for a long time, and this being so unprecedented, like I'm sure you're hearing from parents and players and coaches. What can prospects be doing? What is like, it's so much, it's not the norm by any stretch. Like, what advice do you give to players at this point with so much still up in the air?
Yeah, so I think you can look at that question from a number of different sides. I think for the overall player, they still should definitely be trying to get their work in the best they can. There's obviously a ton of resources online. We've posted 3 videos ourselves on the YouTube channel that are free. And there's just a ton of resources, whether it's on YouTube or kind of various sites to get workouts in. Some require just a space, some require a hoop. But from an individual skill development standpoint, I really don't think there's too much of an excuse to let things slip. I mean, I think kids can still be getting after it. There's obviously a ton of body weight stuff and push-ups, sit-ups, different things around the house. And I've seen some various things on Twitter that have been pretty cool with kids and people getting creative with that. So from the skill side, I still think there's a lot out there. It's just going to require a lot more discipline. It's not going to be a set practice time. It's not going to be a set time and place. It's a little bit more on your own. But obviously both kids and adults have time right now to carve that in. It just kind of takes the discipline to be able to do so. We also have some virtual training that we have launched with Josh Pratt. There's a couple with a new venture he's working on called Midwest Basketball Training. And there are some of those are free courses. Some of those are paid, but those are set up kind of through Zoom. And it's not a one-on-one because there's a lot of kids in the class, but it's live. And so you can see him and he can provide critiques and feedback. So that industry or like that part of things has been cool to see how different programs and things have kind of adapted to still be able to provide opportunities for kids. On the 17U level, which are, taking away from the skill side and more looking at the quote unquote exposure side, I would definitely recommend reaching out to myself. We've also had a lot of our coaches working on this as well, but we can still, everyone's trying to figure out how this is going to work, and college coaches included. But the biggest thing, the more proactive you can be, the better. So whether it's myself or your current heat coach or whoever, getting out film, just getting your kind of prospect information organized with, statistics, your GPA, ACT, if you've taken it, those kind of things. But really the worst thing you can do is just sit on our hands. So whether it's on the skill development side or the exposure side, we want to be proactive and trying to get more opportunities and get those things going.
For sure. No, that very, very well said. I would just add to that, and this is like a human thing, right? Is, when you have this big chunk of time, even if it's just like you got to get your schoolwork done, you're done every day at 3 p.m. with school, and you go to bed at 11. Like when you have that chunk of time where, you would be going to practice, you would be, hanging out with your buddies, going to the movies, whatever, like when that stuff is now gone, I think like routine is essential, and being able to like just build in habits. And so like make a habit, like every day, you may have to sign on to your class at 8 a.m. Like get up at 6:45 and go for a jog or get some stretching in or do some body weight stuff. Make it an everyday kind of a thing, just to get moving and get that routine. Obviously, like so much of high school is routine. You go to school every day, you go to practice every day, you go to the same classes. Try to build that in, with your skill work, with your, even just like physical stuff. And it'll be a lot easier to stick to that if you're just like every day after class, I'm getting, shots up in my driveway or working on ball handling in the basement or, I've been in touch with a couple of players and they're really sharing like videos of players, and they'll be like, man, watch this like 20-minute Kyrie Irving video. And I think that's awesome. And it's, again, like that's a far cry from going and doing it on your own, but still just ways that you guys can find stuff to learn from is really, really cool. So routine, like making habits here. Cause this may
that's going
last
to be huge for sure.
Yeah, it may be a week. It may be, another 4 weeks. So, being able to build that in so you can be in it for the long haul. So,
Jared, the other thing, just to piggyback on what you said, Jared, I would say is, mixing it up too. I think that can be good. Just mixing it up with different workouts. On a day like today, I'm looking outside and it's snowing. You're probably gonna have to do something more in your house or in your garage. But mixing it up so you can stay fresh and stuff would be great. And to piggyback off Jared's thing, I think, just using your friends as resources is great. I mean, talk to other players, especially ones that are driven and that are working, and ask what workouts they liked or didn't like. Or I think in this basketball, especially with the coaching side, is a big copycat industry, and during this time, players should be looking to do the same. Talk to people and see what's working for them, what's not working. And I think the bigger you can make that circle, the better. And that can even start with your own heat team or your heat coach, just what they're seeing out there that's good for workout stuff and what they have in mind.
Could I jump in real quick, Jared?
I know as a coach, former coach, and the coaches I know would love to hear from players just to get, these guys are itching to get on the sidelines too. And so hearing from them, we were just talking before we came on how, in this, it's a season of loss, right? I mean, we're a few weeks in, we would be a few weeks in, close to a month in, and we haven't had anything yet. Like, I don't think we have to lose 100% of it, though. We can still stay connected. We can still be in touch. For the Minnesota Heat, like emails, social media, like let us know how you're doing. Send us videos, send us clips. Like we would love to share that stuff.
You can jump on the next podcast and be a guest.
Yeah, right on. So, we would love to hear from you guys. This is something like we're missing the community a little bit, and so I just invite all you guys to engage with that stuff and. Share. I think like as a Minnesota high school basketball community does a good job of that. And I think we don't need to like let that go down to zero here during this time. So, perfect. Well, that's kind of as far as like updates, logistics, things like that, that's kind of all we had. Willie, did you have anything else specifically pertaining to that?
Yeah. The one thing I was going to say to piggyback with you talking about the grassroots community, like one of the really cool things that's came out of this for me has just been how kind of strong and united that Minnesota community is. I would say for sure every day I am talking to at least one other program director of another program, whether it's on the boys' side or the girls' side. And I would say that a lot of days it's more than that. We have an email chain going that probably has about 15 different program directors on it. We have a couple different text threads going. And so that's been really cool for me to see. I mean, we're rivals with a lot of these teams, but during like a time like this, like everyone has really done a good job of uniting, and really kind of one of the main themes that's came out of that is like, let's all make sure that we're on the same page, that we stay on the same page, and that we don't really make any decisions without kind of everyone doing it. So like, you're not going to see the Heat start running practices, and other programs aren't, and then it just puts everyone in a weird spot. So like kind of how everyone in this community has united has been pretty cool to see. And I think that's really going to help everyone as we kind of continue to move forward.
Yeah, no, man, I love that. That's even, how encouraging it is to see guys like Josh Pratt and guys, in the training world, just adapt. Like you said, like being adaptable, being flexible right now is so important. And to see kind of the programs do that too. Just, I mean, we're all kind of in this together. It's uncharted for everyone. So just be kind to each other, be patient, and, be for each other. So before we go, Willie, I wanted to catch, this is my favorite question during the quarantine with people. What have you been watching? What have you been doing? What have you been reading? You're usually a busy man on April, mid-April. You've got a little more time on your hands. What's been filling your hours?
Well, like pretty much everyone in the United States, I did watch Tiger King, which we can leave that analysis for a separate pod, but it was definitely fascinating. I also watched Ozark season 3, which I loved and was very sad when that was over. And the thought of the next season being 18 months away is pretty intimidating. From the reading side of things, I just finished Good to Great, which is an awesome book by Jim Collins on just the studying of companies and what makes them good to great, how they kind of get there. And that's been probably my biggest example of like something I've been wanting to read for a long time, especially as a business owner, and just never got around to. So that was good. I have a stack of books, including one or two that you've recommended, Jared, that I will be tackling next. And then a big part of my time, once Angelo goes to bed, has been with my Super Nintendo, which I dug out. It's the same one I had in elementary school, still works. Oh. And so Super Mario Kart, Ken Griffey Baseball 94, those have been kind of the main games. So some of that has been pretty enjoyable, but I'm still definitely ready to get back into the gym. How about for you? I know you had one huge book you tackled.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. It's Super Nintendo. I've been like dipping my toe in trying to should I just, get like a $50 old Xbox just for the next month or
yeah. Be careful if you do, because your time will swallow up.
I haven't taken the plunge yet. Yeah, so I just finished Infinite Jest, which is like a 1,200 page. It's like I would never read it unless during a time like this, but it was incredible. If any listeners want to talk about it and you've read it, I would love to talk to you about it. But I'll spare you the rundown right now. I recently, kind of this winter, I finished The Wire and then kind of went back to it during some of this stuff, just some of the episodes that I feel like I wanted to recap. I went back to that. I've been watching Mad Men. I'm actually almost through Mad Men, which has been phenomenal. I've actually been on kind of like a 90s movie kick too, like a lot of like old Tom Hanks stuff. Some like chick flicks. It's been quite the eclectic mix. I just watched some early Tom Cruise, actually. Minority Report from 2002 is quite the thriller. Just kind of like some mindless stuff at the end of the day to be like, let's get this going. And actually I think
anyone that has not seen The Wire, sorry to interrupt, they should do that. It should almost be like a quarantine kind of assignment, because I think I'm not going to say universal, but I think a lot of people say that that's the best show of all time. I would definitely say it's way, way up there. You got to power through season 2. It's pretty bad. And season 1 does start slow, but 3, 4, 5 are where it's at. And this is a great time to power through that.
I'm like really enjoying Mad Men. Like Mad Men is elite, but it's half as good as The Wire. It's just not even close to The Wire. That's, I would echo that. So a lot of bad movies to go with my like highbrow TV. And then my wife has a piano. And so I've been playing, I try to play like 10 to 20 minutes of piano a day. And I have no piano background. So I'm kind of teaching myself how to read music. And it's just a little bit like trying to build in a little bit of routine so I just don't sit in front of the
Well, everyone should try to come out of this with one new skill. If there's going to be piano, that's a good thing. And players and kids should be looking to do the same.
Totally. That is a good message. Build that routine in, find something and dive in. So, but before we go, again, just to reiterate, from Willie and myself, like, be well during this time, be safe. Just know, like, with the uncertainty, there's a lot more info to come, right? Like this kind of story is far from over. So definitely check the emails. We try and send those out every week or two. As soon as we know stuff, really, we're going to be on top of the communication. So social media at Minnesota Heat on Twitter is probably, keeping that updated every day. In addition to just keeping it updated with what's going on in Minnesota Heat with players, commitments, highlight videos, stuff like that, just trying to get as much visibility for the program as possible, but also just figuring out what's happening with the program as we know more. So another podcast as well, I'm sure, as when things are set, we'll be sure to keep you guys posted and get this back in your feed as soon as we can. So that's kind of all I got, Willie. Any other kind of announcements there, just with communication wise?
Yeah, I would say that we should have an update probably in the next week or two. Our May plan is very contingent, obviously, on the kids being in school. If the kids are in school, then our ability to roll out the May plan will probably be pretty high. So we're kind of waiting on the governor to make that call. I think that I would assume that would come kind of soon. And as soon as we know on that, then we'll have an email out. But I would say to expect an email the next week or two. And also parents are more than welcome to email me anytime. The calendar is open. The inbox is pretty dry and bare right now. And so if people have questions or want to talk through things, they're more than welcome to reach out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Willie. That is all we have. So first, huge props, Matt Gallagher. Gally over there is the man behind the mic doing all the mixing and production. So shout out Gally.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Willie, for joining us here. For Willie, for Gally, for the entire Minnesota Heat, it is a pleasure. Stay safe. Be well. Wash those hands 20 seconds. And we will talk to you guys soon. Go Heat!
Right on. Thanks, guys.